One day, I wanted to document sea creatures, but I couldn't exactly bring the ocean home with me. Or could I? So I set out on a mission to build a mini ocean inside an aquarium. A home for fish, corals, and some relationships you rarely ever see. The other day I got myself a fish tank. It's one that's designed for saltwater fish. You know, the kind of fish you'd find in the sea. Here's me about to snorkel in the Red Sea. Well, just give me a second, I'm just sorting out my shark survival plan. Rule number 1, don't get eaten. Alright, I'm good, let's go. This is the edge of the reef, or as Finding Nemo calls it, the drop-off. The reef is home to some of the most colourful creatures on Earth, but also some of the most dangerous. The fish tank that I have is one that I found on Facebook. Found at the marketplace is one of the cheapest ways to get started. There was a few things left inside, but I didn't want to reuse most of it. Apart from the fish net, I'll keep that. The only thing left to do was fill it up with water and give it a good clean. Here's a checklist of all the things I'm using. I've got it all inside the boxes. The main thing inside is these purple rocks. They're the foundation of the reef, but possibly the most expensive rocks I've ever bought. So I put the rocks in one at a time, and then I use this purple putty stuff. It's like Play-Doh that sticks the rocks together. I mixed the putty until it was all one colour, purple just like the rocks. By the next day, the rockwork was fully secured together. I filled the base of the tank with live sand. I chose live sand because the bacteria inside helps to speed up the cycling process. So far, everything's going well. Well, at least it was. Until I realised the light stopped working. And the light's been discontinued, so I probably can't get any parts. I thought I'd save myself some time, and I went out and bought another light. So here it is. Now I have two of the same. Two of the same with the same problems. They're both overheating because the fans aren't working. Luckily I found someone online that had a new fan and circuit board, so I managed to save one of the lights. A bit of time has passed by now, it's just over a month. This brown layer of algae has spread all across the sandbed, and it looks a mess. So I thought it'd be a good time to add some snails, and hopefully they can stop the algae from overgrowing. But as you can see, it looks like they're losing the battle. The shells are covered in algae too. Snails play a crucial role in the sea, especially when cleaning the rocks. They're also a quick snack in the food chain to things like fish, and maybe even the occasional crab. Back home in the tank, one type of snail didn't seem to be enough, so I'm adding these conch snails. They're a snail specialist in cleaning the sandbed. I'm still not sure if that's enough, so I'm gonna add a red-legged hermit crab. And I've also got this hermit crab too. I was just sorting the PC out because the storage is getting full. And by accident, I deleted half the video, permanently. Along with 2 other projects. But just remember, it's not over until you quit. This was the day I was on a mission to find the real Nemo. But to find Nemo, I needed Sammy's help. He's a lifeguard at the resort we're staying at. And Sammy's offered to take me to the exact spot, so I can technically say we found Nemo and I've got the footage to prove it. Sammy dived down, and as he dived down close to the corals, there was one coral waving called a anemone. And look who we found, a real life Nemo. There was one here and 2 in another location. That was more than enough to inspire me to want my own. Inside the tank I've added my own clownfish. They're just a slightly different colour. I'm not sure if they're male or female, but apparently they all start off as males. Well, that's until they get older, and then the most dominant becomes a female. the tank has reached the stage where it's time to start adding corals. It all started with 3 different types of corals. The blue lake hermit crab didn't waste any time investigating. Every couple of weeks, I started placing new corals in carefully on the rocks. I kept an eye on the corals to see how well they did in the water parameters. And now it's time to add even more colour. I didn't buy all the corals at one time. It just became an obsession, and every time I went to the shop I bought a new one, or 3 at least. I've added a wave maker to simulate waves like there would be in the ocean. Things are going okay for now. This was supposed to be a guide on how to do it on a budget, but somehow it's turned into a guide of how not to. This is a worm, a feather duster worm. It's just that you can't see it because it's inside the tube. The feather extends from the worm like its mouth's wide open. They feed on things like phytoplankton, things that you could see under the microscope if I actually had one. But I do have these copepods so you can see how it works. The copepods feed on all types of waste, including the brown algae that's been building up. When they convert the waste, the copepod itself then becomes nutritious, making it a healthy snack for the fish. The feather dusters use the water flow to lure tiny particles towards its mouth, whilst the copepods are using it for cover. It shows how the feather duster catches things in the water. Meanwhile, the scavengers are moving in. To be honest, I don't think the hermit crabs are fast enough, but the clownfish are. They were already hunting the copepods before they even had a chance to hide. As nutritious as they are, the copepods aren't enough to be their only diet, they're too small. That's probably why they eat them all, or it's just because they're greedy. I'm gonna try feed the Nemos some bigger food. I've got a jug full of live brine shrimp, so let's see how they react. The brine shrimp swirled all around the tank. What happened next though, I was surprised at. One of the fish swam straight up to it, and then pulled a quick U-turn. I sat there and continued watching anyway to see what happens next. A brine shrimp was running across the surface, and a clownfish come up for a nibble, but it still didn't eat it. It's like they were testing if it's food or not. Then finally they started to feed. The goal was really just to feed the fish, but it wasn't the only thing eating them. This torch coral had captured a couple with the end of its tentacles. On our sea adventures, we look for new creatures every day, and each day seemed to be different. Even in the same locations, there was always something new to see. When the tide was low, we found thousands of these starfish. The rockwork was active. We found eels, crabs, urchins, and more than enough snails. But one thing we didn't see was shrimp. I just bought 3 little sexy shrimp. They're only small so they're hard to see, but the colours make up for it. When I put the shrimp in, they quickly found a space of their own, in the gaps of the rocks, or hanging around the corals. The tail looked like it had eyes on it. The shrimp are known to be peaceful and get along with the other animals. As it climbed up the coral, I could see where they get the name from, with the bold patterns and white spots. But the real reason is because of the movements. It's like they're dancing. Before I accidentally deleted half the video, I did add in one other fish. I've not seen many of these in the shop. It's a fish you don't see very often. It's known as the 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐵 goby. When it's out in the open, it's hard to miss because of its bright colours. But most of the time, it's hiding underneath the rocks. Next to the 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐵 goby, there was a cloud of sand. This is the gobies' partner, a candy cane pistol shrimp. Not only did they work together, but they also have the same colours. The 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐫 is always on the lookout. The pistol shrimp has poor eyesight, so the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐫 gives it guidance. And in return, the shrimp digs a burrow for them both to live in and keeps it clean. It's another day, another adventure. And look at this fish, it come right up to us. Every animal in the ocean has its own role. And lucky for us, we're getting a closer look at what lives in the sea and what they get up to. It's something that I just couldn't get enough of. Watching it is like being peaceful and thrilling at the same time. Like Kira was just swimming along, and all of a sudden this huge fish appeared. It was massive compared to the other fish in the reef. Some of the other fish stand out in other ways. I was just on my way to get out of the water, and I could hear someone shouting jellyfish. I brought the same peaceful feeling into my living room like I was back in the sea. It's something you could just sit and watch in your spare time. These are green star polyps, with individual heads that move together in the water flow. The tank's starting to thrive and it's time to add something new. So I added a tail-spotted blenny. I actually bought this one for my son, so he calls him Spider-Man. It's a peaceful fish most of the time, unless you're near the gaps he likes to hide in. The Nemo fish don't bother him, they just leave him to it. Here we have a Pedersen shrimp, a shrimp that can clean parasites from fish. The antennas on its head are a signal to welcome in new clients. The green star polyps closed up when the crab walked over it, just like the crabs do when they see a potential threat. The body of the Pedersen shrimp was completely see-through, with a line down its back that was a bluey purplish colour. I've only got one of these shrimp, but somehow it's carrying eggs. Because it has a see-through body, we can see everything that happens inside. The fish always know when it's feeding time, and they don't mess about when it comes to food. They come right up and take it from the surface. The flow pushes the pellets around, so the clownfish don't get to eat them all. The pellets can be used to feed the corals too. When there's food about, it's never long until the hermit crab shows up. The corals are starting to grow in. It's actually starting to look like a real reef. The shrimp spent most of the day moving around each of the corals. When you see a coral, you might just think they're a colourful rock, but they're actually alive and moving. We've seen what happens in the day, but what happens in the night time? The ecosystem starts to take a shift, and all the little tiny creatures start to wake up. All of them got into the tank as a hitchhiker on the corals, and over time they've multiplied. It looks like the hermit crabs are still active throughout the night, still scavenging and still disturbing the corals. Oh, and it looks like he's got a new shell. A lot of corals feed in the night, so they extend the tentacles reaching for food. This 𝐸 coral has some of its heads closed, but it's not because of the night. It's because of a pest at the bottom called a glass anemone stinging it. The Pedersen shrimp is on a wonder, and the nighttime highlighted the colours on its back. If you look closely on the rockwork, you can see all forms of life that contribute to the ecosystem. I noticed that Spider-Man, the Blenny, has changed its colours like it's in night mode. It's like a camouflage with stripes from head to tail, and the colours are blending in against the rockwork. I always like to find new ways of seeing things. I noticed that when the lights are off, the Nemo fish stick closer together, and the one with the darker face seems the more dominant one. There was a light coming in from outside the tank, and the spots on the side of the fish were reflecting. They were almost like a blue or green colour with a band around the edges. The Nemos hovered in one corner throughout the night, and if they did move, it was never from this side of the tank. For the animals at night, it looked to be business as usual. Most of them were still active. One main difference in the night was the behaviour of the corals. So we had night time, but what about the moonlight in the sea? This is the colour the lights go before the lights go off, and this is when the corals begin to close up. Under the blue lights they look way more vibrant. Most of the corals seem to be happy. Apart from the 𝐸 coral, I'll fix that. I've saved the coral food for the night time, and I don't mean the pellets. I mean the liquid form of food. I've turned off the wave maker so you can see how it works. I poured in a luminous yellow amino acids. The coral food begins to sink and makes its way to each of the corals, and each type of coral reacts differently. But the reaction is always instant. This food keeps the corals vibrant and healthy. Whilst the corals are soaking up the amino acids, they open up with the tentacles showing. This was the best time to feed them. Over the months I've fed them everything, from pellets to liquid food, live foods and frozen.